down, well. Gotta come on down, well. Sweet Jamaica, well. Sweet Jamaica's where I'm from, and that's where I belong. Now I go take no plane and fly away. I'm not living on a foreign land, even though there's crime and violence. Every day the confusion, the woman reminds me.
You don't know this. This is just a surprise
call.
So
it's not so
are you
bad.
On the chat, Miente? Miente, do you ever stop work, Miente? Do you ever stop work? Do you ever stop work? So you're actually on the government payroll right now?
I am on my way home.
Oh, good time. Devon, I see where you have drawn and tell your brother that. What's happening home in the BVI, Devon? Put on your earphone and talk to me while you're driving home. Yeah.
You're on my loudspeaker.
Yes, thank you very much. You're on Freshradiovybz. So let's because I wanted to talk to you from the other day, but you know what I mean, time didn't persist. Devon, the British Virgin Islands, bring me up to scratch. What's your concern right now about your hometown, the BVI?
You call me to put me on the spot?
Devon, you're a son of the soil, and now is not a time for us to even run joke, because I just talked to someone down there, and they said that Mr. Fraser's just come out, said that these positive tests that Carvin is bringing forth is of a secrecy, and he can't handle it. I just talked to someone on the street, and them said they share the said concern to where they don't know how the BVI is skyrocketing with the COVID, the pandemic. What's your take on that? Do you believe this? What's happening? What are you hearing?
Well, the most I can tell you guys is I live here in Miami.
Yes.
And I only observe what I see on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so sad to see that we are losing a lot of brothers and sisters. I won't say a lot, but a handful of brothers and sisters to this virus, this detrimental virus. And I will, like I have been doing it all the time, telling everybody to get vaccinated. I'm not going to get into the politics of anything that is happening in my country, because I know that the government is in there doing what is in the best interest of the country on a whole, and not for just one or two people. It's for the entire country. So I am not going to criticize them for the good job they have been doing. Just to encourage them to continue to do the best, to try to save lives, to try to mitigate the virus as much as possible, so that people's lives could be saved, and that's basically it. So I'm not gonna
so you are fully vaccinated, right? Hello, Miente.
I didn't hear you.
You are fully vaccinated, right?
Talk to me.
Are you fully vaccinated? Are you fully vaccinated?
Yep. Yes, sir. Fully
yes.
Vaccinated.
And how long now have you been fully vaccinated? 2 months, 3 months?
Yeah, approximately 2 months.
2 months, 2 months.
3 months, yeah, approximately.
Do you know the population of the British Virgin Islands as far as indigenous people?
Between 30 and 40,000 is the entire population.
Okay, there's a strong 30,000. That is not even a
30,000.
Yeah.
30.
Yeah, that is not even a drop in the bucket when you put it in any one of the states here in the US. Now, for the concerns that people share and a small community like that, you think that the right approach is actually to do a full culling of the community and then watch what comes next? Are you fully on board for that?
To do a what?
A full inoculation of the population, the 30,000.
Why?
I'm asking if you're for that, because that's what the government is saying, that everyone needs to get inoculated.
DJ, pull that up again.
I will encourage everybody to get vaccinated.
Mm-hmm.
That's my position.
How many brothers? All right. My thing is, You say that you were looking on internet and you see the good and the bad and the indifferent. So there is some side effects to this. Thank God you haven't succumbed to none of those side effects as yet. But for the small population of the British Virgin Islands,
Yeah.
But for the small population of your brothers and sisters in the British Virgin Islands, you would insist with the government to get them inoculated, vaccinated.
Everybody needs to get vaccinated so that they can not only protect their lives, but the lives of their siblings and everybody else who they are in.
I know you're out there.
No, but it said that. But it said, I know that you've made up your mind on that because you are fully vaccinated. There are considerations going around that the government in itself is really not listening to the indigenous people. They're working off of the international protocol. And that is why Honorable Fraser further stated that the country should now be focusing on the true surge behind the surge, the truth behind the surge, how we got where we are and how to get out of where we are. Up until a week ago, we were boasting about the...
Where we go from there is a choice I leave to you.
Could you possibly rewind and come again? Freshradiovybz, the most feared internet radio station on planet Earth, the resistant radio station. Freshradiovybz. Freshradiovybz. Freshradiovybz, the most feared internet radio station on planet Earth, the resistant radio station. Freshradiovybz.
Because whatsoever education I acquired out of their sacrifice of over 300 years, I shall use for the salvation of the 400 million black people of the world. And the day when I forsake my people, may God Almighty say there shall be no more life for you. I unequivocally rejected the racist assumption of much white American Christianity. Namely, that God had created the black man inferior and that he had intended Negroes to be a servant class, hewers of wood and drawers of water. Well, I predicated my view of man on the doctrine of Imago Dei. All men, regardless of color, are created in... Give me an education to slight, oppress, or discourage my people. Because whatsoever education I acquired out of their sacrifice of over 300 years, I shall use for the salvation of the 400 million black people of the world. And the day when I forsake my people, may God Almighty say there shall be no more life for you. I unequivocally rejected the racist assumption of much white American Christianity. Namely, that God had created the black man inferior and that he had intended Negroes to be a servant class, hewers of wood and drawers of water. Well, I predicated my view of man on the doctrine of Imago Dei. All men, regardless of color, are created in the image of God. Now, from this premise follows the equality of all men and the brotherhood of all men. The biblical injunction of Acts 17:26 reminds us that he created of one blood all nations of men to dwell on the face of the earth. I was most interested in brotherhood within his own race. Because if Negroes are created in God's image and Negroes are black, then God must in some sense be black. If the white man has the idea of a white God, let him worship his God as he desires. We have found a new ideal. Because whilst our God has no color, and yet it is human to see everything through one's own spectacles, and since the white people... But we believe in the God of Ethiopia, the everlasting God, God of Father, God of Son, God of Holy Ghost, the one God of all ages. That is the God in whom we believe, but we shall worship him through the spectacles of Ethiopia. For 250 years, we have struggled under the burden and rigors of slavery. We were maimed, we were brutalized, we were ravaged in every way. We are men We have hopes, we have passions, we have feelings, we have desires just like any other race. The cry is raised all over the world of Canada for the Canadians, of America for the Americans, of England for the English, of France for the French, of Germany for the Germans. Do you think it unreasonable that we, the blacks of the world, should raise the cry of Africa for the Africans? The Negro is the man. We represent the new Negro. His back is not yet against the wall. We do not want his back against the wall because that would be a peculiar and desperate position. We do not want him there. It is because of this that we are asking for fair compromise. Where the Belgians have control of the Belgian Congo, which they cannot use, they have not the resources to develop nor the intelligence. The French have more territory than they can develop. There are certain parts of Africa in which they cannot live at all. So it is for you to come together and give us a United States of Africa. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We are not going to be a race without a country. God never intended it, and we are not going to abuse God's confidence in us as men. We are men, human beings, capable of the same acts as any other race, possessing under fair circumstances the same intelligence as any other race. Now Africa's been sleeping, not dead, only sleeping. Today Africa's walking around not only on our feet, but on our brains. You can enslave us was done for 300 years the bodies of men. You can shackle the hands of men. You can shackle the feet of men. You can imprison the bodies of men, but you cannot shackle or imprison the minds of men.
Gotta say big up to all the massive that's joining us right now. We're inside the building. We are inside the building. And as we say each and every time, it's all about the Grand Rising. This international show that has the entire earth vibrating. I just want to say it's such a pleasure to be here once again. And with our brothers and sisters who have a lot of things on their mind. Play the tape. Let's play the tape. Let's play the tape. Let's play the tape. Hold on.
The King of Belgium created a slave colony for 30 years. The government of Belgium ran the slave colony for another 40 years. The CIA assassinated your first popular leader, Mr. Lumumba, and then installed another dictatorship for the next 30 years. And then Glencore and others now suck out your cobalt without giving you tax income. We don't reflect on that. We say, what's wrong with you? Why don't you govern properly? And so we have a system, but we need a different system. We cannot turn this over to the private sector. We already did about 100 years ago. Not only to the private sector with the U.S. military behind it. With the defense of these property rights in the Minister of Honduras's country, where United Fruit ran the country for a long time. And their attorney was the foreign minister of the United States, Secretary Dulles, and his brother was the head of the CIA and overthrew the next door neighbor, Mr. Arbenz, to make sure that United Fruit could have its property. So we have a system, but we need a different system. And the different system has to be based on principles of human dignity in the Universal Declaration, principles of sovereignty, principles of economic rights, because these are not nice things to do. In 1948, all the government said that food is a right, social protection is a right, not a nice thing, not a pleasant thing, a right. That was 73 years ago. The SDGs are nothing more than our generation's attempt to honor the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. I come from a country that not only doesn't care about the world's poor, it doesn't even care about its own poor. 1 in 7 Americans is hungry right now, and they don't care. I mean, the poor people care, but one political party, all it cares about is cutting taxes for the rich and filibustering any solution. So we're in a world that's really tough. The private sector is not going to solve this problem. I'm sorry to say to all of the private sector leaders, behave, pay your taxes, follow the rules. That's what you should do. And what the governments should do is the following. They won't, but they should. First, the G20 should become the G21 by inviting systemically the chairperson of the African Union and the African Union to be the 21st country. The European Union is a member of the G20 as the EU. If you add the AU as the 21st for the G21, you add 1.4 billion people to representation at that crucial event. That will change decisively the discussion because 1.4 billion people are not at the table for finance right now, and they need to be. So my first recommendation is the G21. I love the G20. Add one seat, 1.4 billion people with the AU represented. Second, we need a order of magnitude change of development finance. The rich countries just borrowed $17 trillion for COVID. The poor countries, nothing. Because the rich countries can borrow at zero, and the poor countries pay 5 or 10% coupon rates or have no access at all. So the world exposed its grotesque inequality this past year and a half. Rich countries didn't say, we tighten our belts, why don't you? My country spent $7 trillion of emergency funding, not one penny for any.
Number one.
More steps towards the one world religion have just taken place on September 14th and 15th, 2022, with Catholicism and Islam pretty much coming together and say, yeah, we worship the same God. And we're
blessings to you guys. I'm right here up.
We are probably one of the last generations of Homo sapiens, because in the coming generations, we will learn how to engineer bodies and brains and minds. Now, how exactly will the future masters of the planet look like? This will be decided by the people who own the data. Now, why is data so important? It's important because we've reached the point when we can hack not just computers, we can hack human beings and other organisms. Now, what do you need in order to hack a human being? You need two things. You need a lot of computing power, and you need a lot of data, especially biometric data. But control of data might enable human elites to do something even more radical than just build digital dictatorships. By hacking organisms, elites may gain the power to re-engineer the future of life itself. Because once you can hack something, you can usually also engineer it. All of life, for 4 billion years, dinosaurs, amoebas, tomatoes, humans, all of life was subject to the laws of natural selection and to the laws of organic biochemistry. But this is now about to change. Science is replacing evolution by natural selection with evolution by intelligent design. Not the intelligent design of some god above the clouds, but our intelligent design and the intelligent design of our clouds. The IBM cloud, the Microsoft cloud, these are the new driving forces of evolution. And at the same time, science may enable life, after being confined for 4 billion years to the limited realm of organic compounds, science may enable life to break out into the inorganic realm.
Do we have any warriors? Say yeah! Hey, hey, hey! All right, come on. Let's.
Yes, we worship God in spirit and in truth. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but spiritual wickedness in high and low places. Are we ready to go airborne this morning? Love and cheer, love and cheer. Yes, I. Beautiful Zion. We are live right now. Broadcasting globally. Let's go. I'm gonna ask you right now to get in line. Get in line. Come on, come on.
Freshradiovybz, the most feared internet radio station on planet Earth. The resistant radio station. Freshradiovybz. Freshradiovybz. Most feared internet radio station.
We are victorious. We claim the victory right now. No weapon that form against our people shall prosper. 10,000 on our left, 10,000 on our right, and this we shall be confident in the victory. Grand Rising. Yes, I. Big up all of the people, them. We're a mansion, more like a galshan, you know what I mean? Woman, them not them not go up there. Yo, we're ready for Drop Unite. Let's see what's popping. Let's go over to the cameras. Yes, sir. Where I am going, I know. I said, I know where I am going. Do you know where you're going? Happy children are singing. Where I am going, I know. Sing it again, so I know. In this nice, so much nice in our market, you have to study your correct change, people. I know where I am going, I know. What a piece of runkus.
is not in vain. Oh, Jesus come to prepare a mansion for me.
There is no sin and no sorrow, no pain and no war. Got to prepare a mansion for me. Jesus, to prepare a far away, over the sea. Say no fear and no pain and no war. I said, just gonna prepare. Oh, I said, a mansion for me, far away, over the sea. No fear and no sorrow, no pain and no war. I said, just gonna prepare. You don't know, so the land prepare already. Yes, up on planet Earth, you know. Grand rising to all the masses that's locked on. Big up to CNJ. Big up to the home care. And all the management and staff of Freshradiovybz. All the Jamaican, the people who walk around to them are Jamaican. Big up on the cell. I got dread and terror upon dirty Babylon, you know. Yes, I them are going on and capture the people, them. Capturing the lands. Grand rising to the Indigenous Maroons. The Indigenous Maroons all over planet Earth. Walking around with different appellations. And bring me down the east. Come on, a Rasta, man. Yeah, we're gonna make link with his Imperial Majesty and grandson there, yard. Think we have some bubble we have a touch base today. Yeah, man, the bubble them boycott them, so them now gonna link up with none of the government official them. Lava ground. Want capture people and bring down his majesty relative. I wanna try. Think man a idiot round on yourself. Yeah, we see them have them so-called heroes. Heroes celebrate and we're gonna talk about that, cause right now there's no heroes, there's only zeros. In a plantation. Yo, what go on no far right? Now here comes the thief in Queen from England. Yes. Henry Morgan. Full of separation and after 400 years, me say no reparation. I know them want to kill me with the taxation, but I beg you please take me to the motherland. I beg you carry me go home. I bring me from the east. Come on, a Rasta. A Rasta no live on no capital. Could I never carry me go home? Carry me go home. I said we settle and seize. Come on, a Rasta. I stand a live on no capital. Watch them pan it up at the hill. And looking at them play to we properly feel. Because downtown have shot off the kill. Them tell the tourists if we stop on the grill. So come make we start a new chapter. Gotta say big up to all the massive them over Bahamas, the corporation of Bahamas. Yeah, the Maroons them what them call Bahamians. The Maroons what them are call Americans. The Maroons what them are call Vincentians. The Maroons what them are call Guyanese. The Maroons what them are call Canadians. The Maroons what them are call Cubans. Rasta no live pan no capture. Hold on there. No capture lana. No capture lana. We're gonna link up with the Sizzla Kalanji, you know? Yes, I with the boat. Where you wanna live nice, there's no title feet. Where you wanna live, I teeth them teeth it in the name of. Yeah, big up the people, you know, Maroon who said. All of the people over the British Virgin Islands, we call themselves Tolians and Centomians, the Maroons them. Big up the Maroons them in Florida, we call themselves Americans. Big up the Maroons them, yes I. We see say them a capture land. Yes, it's true. We see say a capture land. Hold on the DJ. Burn something for me. Burn something, DJ. Many races. Many races with different faces. But a Maroon, we say. I'm going to talk to the people them right now. We are the indigenous brothers and sisters of planet Earth. Tell them like it is. Come on, tell them like it is.
I know you're out there. I can feel you now. I know that you're afraid. You're afraid of us. You're afraid of change. I don't know the future. I didn't come here to tell you how this is going to end. I came here to tell you how it's going to begin.
Yeah, we know say all of the government them afraid of us right now. See, a lot of people are joined with Freshradiovybz and a jump off. If you know, so you can't handle this sort of galactic power. Because we're fighting not against flesh and blood, but against spiritual wickedness in high and low places. While some of the radio disc jockey them and the DJs them are going to go around the issues, we are stand up in the fire like Daniel. We're not pretty up nothing for the slave master them. We're going to tell them like how it is. When the leaders them to serve the people, then we're going to burn them out. When the religious organization fail our people, we shall laugh at them. When the club members them put club over country, we shall burn them out.
Tell them like it is.
Remember that. Tribal war. I know that we are defeated. We're gonna find out why the rest of them boycott, why the rest of them stay away from the visit of a bloodline of His Imperial Majesty. What is your take on it? Let us know. Let us know. Yes. You see what the corporation is doing? It is dividing and ruling. Stop fighting to the cast so much things to say. Let's celebrate today. Watch this. I'm using election line. We don't have the fire shot. Now remember that the most of us color is black like sounding for the slave ship. We understand that Buju Banton was up to get a merit from the corporation of Jamaica, but our source I tell you say, hold on, our source up on the line, hold on there.
Tell them like it is.
Right this, right. Remove the blindfold, primitive things, and we have done it already, and we won't do it again. Just to hurt your own brother and your life for spectering the weeds of evil. Put an end to the trend. What is not cannot be undone. Amen, amen. Blood alone, mother dying, starving children. My Buddha say we can't start when we link in. Some a man, some a Allah, famine not kill them because a tribal war. Soon as see the pity them. Over under pressure, they can't reach them.
Yes, so I big up the Maroons over the Cayman Islands. The Maroons who walk around and call themselves Caymanians. You're Maroons, alright? Let us say grand rising to all the Mexican Maroons. The Maroons walking around saying that they're Mexicans.
Stop fighting for the cast so much is you. So much things to say. Couldn't solve it today. But anyway, watch this. Have mercy. Election or not, we don't have to fire shot. Now remember that the most of us color is black like sardine. For the slave ship, the whole of with the back and till the whole of we end up a jam rock. You better promote life and the most that you can big up the killing and you can't blow breath. And of these words are no disrespect. Cause anything you work for, man, that you go and get. Tribal war. Man, say put it on pause until you're ready to fight for a cause. That's not needed, my friend. Put that to an end. Tribal war. Although that we are defeated. Let's love a fight.
Tell them like it is.
Say from the day that me never see ministers fight. If them even do that, man, I with them vice. So dash with the gun and dash with the bomb and dash with the knife. A full time now we start to lose night. Cause this is something that we must practice. Fight for equal rights and justice. Right now we have to try set some new trend. Cause the tribalism it must come to an end. Listen, Keely. Take it, my brother, take it. Don't follow that greed. Fight for the wants and fight for your need. And remember to sow good seed. Don't want to sow is that you read. And I'm gonna set up no way for fire in my head here, sir.
Sound to the one and only. You know what I mean? The one and only. The one and only. Tony Rebel, you know what I mean? And we're getting ready to hit the momentum out there. We just... Oh, yeah. Reaching out to the man called Jacure. Maybe incarcerated, but word, sound, and power. What a beautiful thing. Let's go. I just want the perfect love.
There's no such thing. I just need someone to spite of all my flaws, and that's perfect to me. Oh.
Let's find out what's popping.
And my hair is turning gray. I just want someone to stay and think about the day we were young and free, to fight every battle, to love and forget. She will never lose it, and when I win, when so-called friends are gone with the wind, I'll stand beside you, through thick and thin. This I promise you. Oh, this I promise you.
Love and cheer.
I don't want the perfect love. Perfect love. I just there's no such thing. I just need someone to love. Spite of all my flaws, and that's perfect to me. Oh. I'm not always right. Sometimes I get it wrong, but I always keep it real.
Trying to keep it real right now. We're reaching out. The phone line is about to open in the next 2 minutes.
Sometimes I get it wrong. But I always keep it real. I don't want the perfect love. Perfect love. I
I just
there is no such thing.
You know how it is already, you know what I mean? The sound of Jacure.
Spite of all my flaws, and that's perfect to me. Oh.
You know my people is in the fields working right now.
My hair is turning gray. I just want someone to stay.
The number to call is 260-209-8730. Talking about the indigenous Maroon Nation. Whatever, ever appellation you're calling yourself right now. I just want the perfect love. I just need Yeah, our engineer is working the lines. Hold on. Let's see who you go. Grand Rising Father. What my brother?
I'm good, man. I'm good. What about you?
I'm there and I Grand Rising, you know. So why things are unfold. And we're going to go on. The itinerary reach our office first and foremost. Let me say, look like you have a pack itinerary, King Shango, visiting the homeland of Nyankopong. You ready for the Gideon? You ready for the leg? Yeah.
Yeah, man.
I lad, we don't see.
Man, I just want to go all them places. Just want to make it to all them places, talk to whoever I need to talk to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I come in there to put in some work. So right now, actually, I just coming back from the airport, dropping off two of my guests, and they Kalinago indigenous people from St. Vincent.
Wow, I wish we could get to talk to her. John, myself a morning in spirit as I link you earlier. I know how. Continue, because we're going to talk. Continue.
Yeah, man. You know, so they're the ones who the British called the Black Arabs, who was fighting against them for almost 200 years.
Yes,
until they finally was able to, subjugate them. But they didn't take all, and they ended up in Belize. That tied into my research with Chankanu and all of that too. And that's essentially how Chankanu got to Central America.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, man. So, some heights, and I just shot them here.
Yeah.
And they also came to bring that real original indigenous presence, because we just opened up a Lucayan exhibit at the museum that I work at.
Yes, sir.
So they came here for that, and all the other cultural things. And, we dealing with we doing this curriculum overhaul right now in this country. And, we just trying to bring everybody together to get the story correct,
You are doing a tremendous work for our people, resurrecting the legacy of our forefathers who have created everything that existed right here. Before I go any further, I want you to introduce yourself to my audience, because whenever I make these podcasts, I replay them and people listen them all a year after, them listening 2 days after, a moment after, because this is us capturing our story, not history. Tell them who they are. Let out your appellation to my people again. Who am I speaking with?
Respect. So, many know me. I was born in the name given to me by my parents, Christopher Davis, but Christopher, son of Shango, Omo Shango Davis. And, I'm a researcher initially, but I'm also an orator, Pan-Africanist and an activist, originally from the land known as the Bahamas. And as of late, I have been bestowed one of the greatest honors in becoming Nana Safahini John Kwao II, known probably more commonly by others and more familiar to others as John Canoe II or Pichi Pachi II.
Yes, sir.
And I hope to be in Jamaica quite soon, to be able to share some of my research and, of course, more importantly, learn from the various Maroon communities in Jamaica. And so I expect to be able to visit these regions and to speak with the Maroons and share my research, show how we're all interconnected, tell the people who this man that they told us was John Canoe or Pichi Pachi really was. His real name was John Kwao. And of course, he was from the great but little known group from southwest Ghana, known as the Ahanta people.
Yes.
And the reason we do all of these John Canoe, Jan Kwa, all of these variations of celebrations throughout the Americas, particularly associated with Maroon communities, is because this man was a great general of the Ahanta people that fought against the British, the Dutch, the Danish, and the Portuguese transatlantic slave trade. You know, and he was a man that was staunchly and firmly against the transatlantic slave trade, as was the Ahanta Kingdom, all the way up until the mid-1800s, you know. And so, like the Maroons, in many cases, they have a consistent history of fighting against colonization, fighting against the transatlantic slave trade, and being able to also navigate the sinister, strategies of the Europeans, the divide and conquer strategy, that still plagues us to this day.
Now, you've just laid out the connection right there for our people. You returned from Ghana, because Ghana has bestowed on you some heavy duties where you, I just say you want to learn, but at the same time you have an office that you have to operate. This trip to the Nyankopong, aka Jamaica, as what we're saying, you say is to link up with our brother. You will be landing inside the territory, and we know that you have on your itinerary, you have places like Nanny Town, you have other destination out there, like meeting with the National Museum representative. You want to go up to the Blue Mountain and Craft Town, and you're meeting with Richard Curry also, and you have slated to meet with the Emperor. Talk to me about the significance of meeting with the National Museum. What is important? Why you think you need to go to the museum? Do you have something? Talk to me about the visit there.
Well, it's the seminal research that I've been working on through my NGO, Sankofa Flamingo, which was how this all began.
Yes.
And it's a team of researchers right here from the Bahamas, and also cultural icons like Queen Mother Angelique, co-founder Robin Lightbourne, the cultural catalyst. And there's a lot of people who've been behind it. And essentially, the reason to meeting with them, because in my day job here, I work for our National Museum Corporation.
Okay.
And I think that it's extremely important that whatever the space is, that you have to acknowledge the truth. And the truth is that these celebrations of Jan Kwao, of course, many of them have been appropriated by the British themselves. And so many of us began to believe that, knowing that we have our revolutionary spirit and how it was actually watered down in the colonial space, and even becoming commercialized in many incidences, not in a positive way, but sometimes in a negative way. This is how all of this was lost in translation. And so I know now that I could unequivocally prove who this man that we know as John Canoe really was, aka Pitchy Patchy, depending on the variation that you dealing with. And I just wanted to come there and share that empirical data with them. And as a matter of fact, this research has also recently been published in the Smithsonian Magazine. And though we know that institutions like the Smithsonian, to be quite frank and speak candidly, has often been against, indigenous peoples throughout the world, particularly in regards to who's keeping our artifacts and who's keeping these things. However, in the article section, they are very heavily vetted. And the fact that that research was published on that space, I think that it speaks volumes to the strength of the research that we were able to do here, at Sankofa Flamingo, and we're extremely proud of it. And again, for us being from the Bahamas, we've always gotten this extremely conservative whitewash narrative. They tell us that we the well-behaved Negroes in the Caribbean, we ain't like the Jamaicans, and we ain't like this one. And all of a sudden now, we finding out we get Maroons, and we get all of these things, and we get these Akan people who was trying to take over the island, just like they had in Jamaica, right? And of course, the link was through this thing that we do called John Canoe that we also share with Jamaica. Even though it's very different, it looks very different today. The meeting with them is certain, and what I think needs to happen is it needs to go into the national psyche and even possibly into the school curriculum. And it's going to be included into the school curriculum here in the Bahamas. And we're trying to make it a Caribbean-wide thing. And so even how the two sisters here, Denise and Hetty, they were here from St. Vincent.
Yeah.
This is also connected to us because the Kalinago in St. Vincent, they were the ones who actually gave refuge to the revolutionary Africans that came, many of whom, of course, would have been Ahantas, Cormantes, people from Achumpong in Ghana, the same places that we see.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. You get it.
Yes,
so it's something that's quite profound, and it unifies us all, and it also challenges. Most importantly, it challenges not even just locally, not even just regionally in the Caribbean, but I would say globally. It challenges many of these narratives that we are plagued with today. That, in my humble opinion, only serve to further divide us. And I'm talking about narratives of people of African descent, whether they be Maroon, whatever you call yourself, Indigenous, Maroon, whatever, of us being somehow compliant in our own genocide. And I think with this research, we'll be able to take 2 steps back and remember who the major beneficiaries were in our Ma'afa, in all these horrible things, in all the colonization, the land theft, the lack of sovereignty. Who benefits from it? It ain't no other group of indigenous people.
Yeah.
We know who benefits from it, but it's like we're afraid to face that task. And that's what one thing I appreciate with what you're all doing, my brother. You all are actually seeking to make true moves to freedom.
Yes, sir.
Because I hate to say it, I don't like to ride my own brothers and sisters too hard.
Yes.
But for many of us, we see freedom as further acceptance into colonial or Western society.
Submission.
Right. Oh, they accept me now. Look, they give me this and they give me that order. This company that been racist for 100 years, now they just after 100 years of existence, they hire their first black executive. All of a sudden, they getting praise and we got to go spend our money and our coins with them, So all of this is very important and connected, and that's why we need to meet with people like the National Museum.
As how you've just put it forward, you're going there to see if some of the history can match our story. Because as you said, this thing has been watered down quite a lot, It watered down where they don't give us no masculinity when it comes on to our story. Them put up, instead of them raise Kojo and Taki, them put up Nanny. Because it's a psychological thing to keep the man, them, especially the male, them, out of the Gideon. Because we supposed to be the warriors, but you're slated to visit Nanny Town, where you know about that great woman and the itineraries to Nanny Town. How is that looking? Because we know you're going to rub shoulders with your brothers and sisters again.
Yeah, man. Well, of course. Well, the major reason for me also going to Nanny Town, of course, Queen Nanny is one of the predominant Maroon leaders in our history. And ironically, one of our Maroon strongholds here in the Bahamas was called Blue Hills. And of course, that area is known as the Blue Mountains, So I just think it would be good to go there. And in terms of what we know about her, as me and you reasoned about a few times, what we tend to see when we search for the identity of many of these characters, we tend to just assume that they were either Ashanti or Fante, because those are the 2 predominant groups coming up the Gold Coast, right? But Ashantis did not exist in any real appreciable number, and the kingdom was not even founded until 1701. And if I'm not mistaken, this was before people like Queen Nanny. This was after, people like Queen Nanny was even born. And so what my research has also taken me into, particularly delving into that Akan Gold Coast revolutionary influence in the Western Hemisphere, what you see is that many of these people were, in fact, not Ashanti or Fante. Many of them were Akwamu, Ahanta, and Zimmer. And then coming from places like Cormansi, and Cormansi, and of course, in Jamaica, they say Cormanti. This is a village that is probably less than 10 miles east of the Ahanta region, right? And of course, when we look at the documents about the Ahanta and their revolutionary fervor, and as I started to do more research, I started to notice, well, everywhere these people gone, They trying to take over. They're not even just satisfied with being free themselves. You know, these people trying to take over the entire colonial space that they are in and turn that colonial space into their own kingdom so everybody could be free. You know, so this is something that's quite profound.
Because I was reading first night, as far as the legacy of the IT, the Haitian goes, you know, the Maroon Haitians is what they called. And, you know, we have to understand that these brothers and sisters were so powerful where that was the first place that abolished slavery fully, when nobody wants your land on the land and put your foot on it. This is where the so-called America get them thing from. And we have them great legacy where you as a curator who are living our story right now, you are letting us know that a lot of these stories that are out there, as far as Jankono, we were taught to be afraid of Jankono running away house when them are come through, we dress up in the. These were some of our legacy that they want us to be afraid of. And that you tell you in a nutshell, the Rasta.
Yeah, you see, what happens there is we have adopted many of the ideals and the fears and the values of the colonizer and the slave master.
Yes, sir.
And you see, when, particularly in Jamaica, you know, this was scaring the slave master. This was something that was purposefully done. As a matter of fact, Queen Nani was the master of this. You often hear the Europeans refer to Queen Nani as this witch and all type of horrible things they say about the woman, you know? And a lot of that had to do, again, it's just different perspectives and just a kind of a deeper depth into the interpretation of the history. And it's not romanticizing it, you know, because we could get into some of the issues that these people would have faced as well. However, there was an element of psychological warfare that was often not picked up on, particularly by those who are studying history. And so when you see us embracing our culture, and we know that the European, the slave master feared that, you know, man, if you think I could wave some magic wand and turn you into a goat, and you think that, well, that believe that and leave me alone, because I know within my spirituality and within my culture, I doing the right thing. You know, and we understood at a time that belief and behavior are two different things. So I could claim to believe everything that's righteous, and I could know my Bible, and I could know all of these things, but if my behavior ain't according with that, and you got a fellow who is a voodoo priest and all of these things that we are conditioned now, that we are conditioned to believe is wrong, that are not inherently wrong. You understand? And we would look at that, you know. And so, again, sometimes we just have to take a deep breath. And because we have to all realize that we are all affected from colonization. Anyone who tell you they ain't affecting them in no way, shape, or form, they either ignorant of it or they just lying, straight up. You know, we even possess the names that show colonization. And that's one of the things I commend Maroons all over Jamaica for, is retaining names and using different names and retaining that culture, you know. And just to go right in and make a comment about people like Kwao and Captain Cujo, you know, that particularly some of the narratives now that I see coming out in the academic halls about this guy, Captain Cujo, you know, and they often like to throw all the shade on him. And I don't know so much if it's a gender man versus woman thing, but what we do know is a separate divide and conquer thing, you know. And as far as I realize, Queen Nani and Cujo used to consider themselves brother and sister, you know, and Nani ran away, and Cujo was still there for a very long time as a very old man, you know. And sometimes Cujo, in my opinion, particularly by those who criticize him, gets a very, very unfair treatment. Because this was an old man who was free in Africa, got enslaved, you know, and all of that stuff. And then this man fight all his life, his entire life, this man was fighting war against the British.
Trying,
you know, who of us alive today could say they fight the colonizer like Cujo did, regardless of all the nuance in between? You see, and people often forget that today we are all one people of color, and we have this sense of unity because we have a shared experience. But when you see in the 1600s and 1700s in Jamaica, as different African groups appeared from different tribes and different groups and different ethnic groups, different languages. These people were diverse. Africa is very diverse. It ain't one set of people with one set of language and one religion. And so that same thing, many of them couldn't even understand each other when they spoke. So when that came over, it wasn't any, how they like to make it seem like we have this inherent or innate disagreement between other Africans, and you always have statements like, "Oh, we ain't have no unity and we can't get along." That wasn't it. It was just the time and the space that we were in, and all of these people were at risk of enslavement. And so, what a Maroon is, somebody that, plain and simply, to oversimplify, somebody that refused enslavement, fought against the colonizer, and fought against all of these things. And of course, a part of our history that's completely overlooked. And you have nations like Suriname, where the majority of people of color can claim to have Maroon heritage. And of course, as we do more and more research, we are now finding out and redefining what a Maroon actually is. We find that the spectrum is much broader. Right?
But hold on. Yeah. I was just whenever I start my show, I say Grand Rising to all the Maroons that are called Jamaicans, all the Maroons that are called Bahamians, all the Maroons that are called American, because the word Maroon means wild and untamed. You have never been domesticated. So once you and that is what give you your indigenous tribal connection to the earth performance. So with that is what separates us from the corporation. Just that simple fact, identified as a Maroon, because guess what? When the corporation hear the word Maroon, them know exactly what that means, wild and untamed. You don't have to explain nothing to a guy, but when you say to when you say to the corporation that I'm black or that I'm a Jamaican or a Bahamian, them have them thing in their book and say, I want to subject this, Bahamian, I want to subject them and the citizen. Yeah, man, we can't slave them up. But when you say Maroon, my lad, them can't put them finger on your car, yo!
Yeah.
Love reason with the eye, man. I tell you, love reason with the eye. Yeah, so the entourage that is heading into your birthplace, your home ground, Nyankopong, how many, how huge it is, and does it have the respect and the acknowledgement of the Corporation of Bahamas, this delegation going to make this connection?
I would say yes and no. I would say yes and no. Within the Antiquities Monuments Museum Corporation, which is like our National Museum Corporation,
yes,
the research has been accepted and it's been approved also by the University of the Bahamas.
Yes, sir.
But however, generally speaking, in the Bahamas, not saying that we don't love the culture and all that, but it's hard to find support in all of these things for that. It is recognized as a matter of fact. The research that we've been doing and the connections we've been uncovering has led to the Bahamas now establishing their first embassy ever in Africa. Something that was a long time overdue.
Yes,
Yes, so there is a level, an acknowledgement, but in terms of the support, it could definitely be better.
All right, hold on, King Shango. I'm joined by His Excellency Daniel Z. Basra. Oh, go on, my lord. Everything all right?
Giving thanks, itinerary.
Yes, we have King Shango. He's coming into Jamaica with a delegation from Bahamas, and I think it's a prime time. You're spirited in good accordance. This is King Shango. This is Daniel Z. Basra, member and a strong voice in the Maroon Council. You know what I mean? He has been standing up. He is a resident. He is one of the movers and shakers from Akongpong town. You can say Grand Rising to him, and Daniel can do likewise also.
Yeah, man. Grand Rising. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Yes, my lion. More love,
Yes, he's slated.
Yeah,
he's slated. He's planning. He is going to be in the island for a 10-day. It is King. 10-day. You're going to be.
Yeah, it'll be.
And
it'll be 10 days.
Yes.
It'll be 10 days. We don't have the specific date that I arrive.
I know.
From I arrive, it'll be 10 days, right?
When are you slated to go to a Kong Town? Because I see you have something to meet with Richard Curry here. When are you slated to go to a Kong Town?
Well, I have him slated there, but I haven't actually reached out to him yet or anything. You know, I sent 1 or 2 messages, but I don't know if they ever got through or if he ever saw them or anything like that. But I was just gonna ensure that when I get there, that hopefully I was gonna be able to meet him. And I know that there are a lot of people who are associated with him. That I'd be able to meet and sit down with him, not only to share the research, you know, but just to sit down, have a reason. And of course, I think it's good for all of us to unify and see how we could come to these practical and effective solutions for our people, you know.
May I make a suggestion? Daniel Zibazo, you want to introduce yourself to the king, because I was saying for you to, you know what I mean, make the proper.
No, we're going to do that, because we're going to get his number and we're going to make him meet other members of
of the community. Yes, sir.
The community, yeah, man. Yeah, man, we're going to do that. As soon as when we finish here, man, and we have his number, we're going to make sure so we make that link.
I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm. But I introduce yourself to him, because I just made the link Daniel Zibazo, but it's not just Daniel Zibazo. Daniel Zibazo has an office that the king, when the king reaches him, I know who him I deal with. So I would allow you some minutes for, you know, put your thing together, make him know who him to do.
I don't know, my greatest, I think, I'm first and foremost on a compound Maroon, and I've been a stalwart standing up for its articulation of its defense, its sovereignty, and its attendant laws and rights.
Yes.
On a personal level, brother, we have lots of people, or people are going through lots of unsavory circumstances because they're in the wrong status.
Yes.
So we're ready to help our people wake up and remove themselves from the status of crown subject to free man. You understand? And we understand that. And we operate the Cannabis Cancer Center and the Cannabis Healing Institute. For 14 years, we have specialized in healing people from cancer, fibromyalgia, fibroids, brain tumors, whatever, using the cannabis oil, standing on our rights as indigenous people. Long before it was legal in Jamaica, we have been doing it. And we're ready to offer that service. I'm supposed to be going to South Africa later next year. When I hear you talk about Africa, let me explain now. I am in touch. I'm supposed to go to South Africa. There's 3.5 million Rastas in South Africa, falling under an organization called the Rastafari United Front. I can put you in touch with the president. We will have a talk. So you have realized, okay, let's not even struggle, because the Rastafari United Front has 3 million in Ghana, in South Africa alone. But there's a Rastafari United Front in Kenya, Uganda with 1.5, 1.8. So there's a whole army of people who, since you don't have to search the people you're trying to convince, you're going to get the Pan-African people who are ready to see that connection with Bahamas, business, and make the links.
And of course, King Shango is a curator also from the museum point of view, where he's coming into the country to not only see if some of the stories that they've been telling can actually match, because he's resurrected John Kuno. And as you know, His Excellency John Kuno is a very integral part, a part of our cultural legacy of our ancestors. And he has a very good story when it comes down to that. I don't know if both of you could intertwine, but he has resurrected the man, John Kwa, and what his legacy was to us as a people.
But remember, we always did everything twofold.
Yes.
So while one set of people took John Kuno as a dance and an entertainment, for many of its very practitioners, it was a communication and a spiritual modality.
You know, so, and it's something here in the Bahamas, you know, it's our predominant national festival. You know, you could get any artist from anywhere in the world. You could bring artists back from who already gone to the ancestors and bring them back from the ancestors, and we'll just stand up. But when it comes to this Chunkanu thing, you know, it's very, very much inextricably linked with the Safahini, and the warriors and the army of John Kwao. And in the case with here, I say in the Bahamas, despite them teaching us You know, that we were all these passive and well-behaved Negroes who love our slave master. Come to find out, the first ship that ever come here from Africa were warriors directly fighting under the command of John Quao, the man that we know as John Canoe, the man that's represented as Pitchy Patchy as well in Jamaica. He was the man that was commanding these fights against slavery. And that first ship was warriors fighting for him that came to the Bahamas that more than doubled the melanated population in the Bahamas. And this is why in the Bahamas it is our national commemoration. Wow. And shows that we are all descended from warriors. We fought against this thing, and this was not something that anybody could try to say we were complicit in any way, shape, or form. And I'll debate anybody on that.
Well, I think we know the job that you put it on, and it's I love our spiritual connection. This is what I've been trying to get ahead. You know that Nanny Town is on your schedule. You want to go to Montego Bay and see a bit of the sites also. Black River, right. And some of these names like Westmoreland, I think it's Maroon land. His Excellency can tell you there's no such thing as Portland. It's Maroon Town. So with your knowledge, Charlestown and these places, Moortown, Scotsall, Excellency, could you join him on some of these legs, or your itinerary is a bit overfull?
No man. The work of the continuance is come first. If it is required and requested, we will be there.
And what I think King Shango is trying to do. King Shango, you mentioned that you want to see the collective movements of our people, and as far as the chieftain goes and the movers and shakers. When you visit Ghana the last time, their concern over there is that we over here are not collectively moving together so they can make that lifeline stretch over. Talk to me about that, because that is very crucial right now. Us organizing ourselves. Yes.
Right. You see, this, just to put it simply, this is the way that I see it personally, just to simplify it. We are all in a particular state right now, though whether we realize it or want to admit it or not. Yeah. You have people who live in a fog and they refuse to admit the realities of our sovereignty issues and all of these issues that we face.
Yes,
and the way I see it, that that the emblem for the House of John Quao is the Siamese crocodile. In the Tree language, the language of our ancestors, Fenten Funfunu, Denchen Funfunu. If those two Siamese crocodiles do not cooperate, what can happen? They can perish. Both those crocodiles are vicious animals. You see how a crocodile live. They eating and they aggressive.
And the Excellency, as we speak, the Excellency have the flag. Go on, because you're not up on the right track.
Yeah, right. And so, you see, and that symbol really means unity and diversity. So here's my thing. We all share, like I say, our communities are quite diverse. Even among the Maroons, in those communities, they are diverse. Whether you're talking about religion, you get Rastafari, you get Christians, you get a couple of Muslims, you get people who dealing with with Cometicism, ancient Egypt. You get people who dealing with all of those combined together. You get people dealing with Ifa, and this is my thing. Until we start to get sovereignty and autonomy, all of these things, not to say we put them to the side to diminish anybody's belief or anything like that, but we put them to the side to focus on the politics. And this is why I love what you're all doing over there, because you're all dealing with the politics.
Yes,
we may talk of spiritual issues and all of these things, but at the end of the day, politics is what really aligns us, because all of us want the same thing.
Yes,
we want autonomy. This one might pray different. This one might eat different. This one might think a little differently. But at the end of the day, we all want autonomy, and that is politics. That is what unifies us. And until we deal with our politics, and this is even tied to the economics, until we deal with our politics, you see, and we unify, this is when we will start to gain true, not just political autonomy, but political authority. And as we continue to fight amongst each other, as we continue to do what we see, where they talk about Africans, blaming Africans for the slave trade and all this type of foolishness, we will continue to have no political authority in this world. Because what we do have, regardless of the research, regardless of how one historian may disagree with the other one thing we can agree on, we have a moral superiority. Indigenous people in the world have a moral superiority, and we do not lean on that moral superiority that we have to gain our political authority. It's only now beginning to happen as we see videos of us being killed in all places, you know. And we have to see it where something happened in Detroit that affect all of us. Something happened in Jamaica that affect all of us. Something happened in the Bahamas and St. Vincent, in Belize, in Ghana, in Kenya, South Africa, that affect all of us. You know, even the war we see right now with all this UN and French influence going on in Central Africa Republic. You know, that's right in the middle of the motherland where all people come from. You know what I mean? So that's my take on it. You know, it might sound cliche, but that is where the solution will come. And as we gain autonomy, our natural talents and genius will almost organically fit in like Lego. You understand? Those with certain expertise. Right? Go ahead, my brother.
Excellency, you want to say something before you ask a question?
No, man, ask the question, man. Listen, man.
Yo, Excellency, he's coming onto our soil, and yesterday was so-called Heroes Day, and I don't recognize these corporation days, because what they've done over the years is actually use our people as puppet to lure the rest of us over to their little careless living. Yesterday was Heroes Day, Excellency. They asked a question if we believe the heroes that's out there are happy with how the corporation is treating our people. I personally don't think that question is addressed to people like Bustamante, because Bustamante is not a hero. You know what I mean?
No.
He is a disgrace to our people. You know? But
he's not of our people.
Talk to me. Talk to me.
He's not of our people, so you're going out far. He can't be a disgrace to our people. He's not of our people. He's not part of us. He's never been. Whether culturally or biologically, test his DNA. Yeah, we need to face these realities. Yeah. One of the issues, however, that nobody wants to confront is that, okay, the heroes, the so-called national heroes of Jamaica, right? Yes. This is what they did. Yes. They gave you Bustamante, and they gave you Manley, who work for the crown, who were people who work for the British crown and work for the oppressor.
Yes.
They gave you Bogle and Sam Sharp, who were pastors, who were also agents of the crown.
Wow.
Then in the time of Bogle and Sam Sharp, to be a deacon or a pastor in the church, it means that you get free food. You walk on people glad when you come in them house, and you are the only one allowed to read. Everybody else was illiterate. You were the agent of the state amongst the blacks. Yes. Your job was to maintain them and pacify them with Christianity every time they might jump out of line. That's why they killed Bogle, because you were supposed to stop this. Bogle never organized a march. No other people them could have chat, but people have chat bad for them not understand English. Then push him up and say, "Come, you got to talk about Africa. Come tell him what I say." And I suck him to get. Yeah.
Yo.
You know, history is so interesting, man. And you know, they always say the truth is often stranger than fiction. You know?
No, but it's not. No, it's not because we have never objectively analyzed the narratives given to us. Because it's not. It doesn't take an hour for you to stop and say, okay, let us assess Bogle. Bogle was a pastor. He was the only man on the plantation allowed to read. No other black slave on that time could read. They get beaten. Not a family. Not even to read the Bible. He was the only one. He would step in whenever the pastor, the white man, he was a pastor. Preach. So he had a place of honor. In the church and state dichotomy, he had a place of honor and power as an agent of the crown. You had Garvey, George William Gordon was also a white man seed, and he never even do nothing. He just get caught up tonight. No, they made Nani a hero.
Yes.
Here's what they technically did. No, the fact of the matter is that Akoja end the war and Akoja them surrender to.
Yes.
But they had to give you Nani because they could not afford to put up a black man that kicked white people's ass as an example for Jamaican youths.
I understand what you're saying. It would have been an intimidatory thing for them, you know, because they were very intimidated by that image of the.
I would know, but up to what the Excellency is explaining to us from our. This is how the corporation. That's why in America, in this place called America, the single mothers are given free house, and if they catch a man inside there, them take away the house from the woman. The corporation main goal is to put up the female. That's why you do woman must say, boy, me's an independent woman. Me no need no man. Me no want because
here's what I find strange. Hold on.
Yes,
I want you to take a very serious look at your life, sir. You need to. Those are the women. You see them. I have so many a plethora of wonderful, beautiful, honorable women, queen women, that I don't have time to see those kinds of women. You need to come sit on my foot for a while, guys, and allow your circle to be permeated by divine queens, so you can forget the trauma and the pain of those that you speak about.
Yes, sir.
Right. Yeah, man, that's powerful, you know. And again, we can't let the ideas of the Western world, despite how pure they may try to make us think that they are, you know, affect our cultural expression. You know, and as I was reiterating earlier, you know, I really don't like the fact that there's this separation, and you know, they trying to put one above the other. You know, when both of these communities, whether you talking about the Leeward or the Cockpit country, or you talking about the Blue Mountain side, you know, they are all to be commended equally and fairly. And as a matter of fact, on the Cockpit side, that one is very much closely connected to us here in the Bahamas, you know, and places like Trelawney, which used to be Cujo Town, you know.
Yeah.
Our first the first prime minister of the corporation, let's call him that, you know, but at the same time, you know, he was a black man. He was a little more honorable than a man like Bustamante, you know. And then you look just to transition over to the sister them in St. Vincent, you know, they have, just to speak plainly and frankly, they have one of the worst corporation leaders, prime ministers in the entire Caribbean. You know, I just call him by his first name, Ralph.
Yeah, but
you know, and this man is a Portuguese man.
But this is what. But even Michael Manley, Fidel Castro, Bustamante, these are more in trying to I would say the Caucasian side of the nation,
right?
You know, so when I look at St. Vincent now, have a Portuguese out there like Ralph, and nobody don't. I wonder if it's illiterate. The people are illiterate if they don't read their legacy and know what atrocity came through these bloodlines. But I don't want to swear to go up too far in that. Excellency, the relative of His Imperial Majesty visit the Corporation of Jamaica yesterday on behalf of the fraudulent corporation that is called Jamaica. And a lot of the Rasta community is said to not appreciate of that move, and they have shunned the appearance. Is that the argument on the ground?
No, that's you know, but I'm not even getting into that politics. You understand me? Because if I have an issue with the corporation, I'm going to state that issue and not tie it in to anybody's particular visit. And this is where I always have a problem with the showboaters. You understand? Just as much as we see when the Queen was here, people go march and claim to them a deliver a letter and all of these things. Straight showboat it. If you really have an issue, why you have to wait until this event is happening? That it lacked class. You have class, you would not wait unless you have to wait until the man do something. But you would not going. It's not that if you was out there marching and demonstrating, that would have bad answer. But by not going, you understand me? That doesn't make it a sufficient statement.
I think it's the closeness with the corporation that the brothers and sisters are concerned about, because His Majesty came and he did meet delegation of the Jamaica Corporation and a lot of Rasta.
Yo, listen, we have to recognize that realistically.
Yes, sir.
Pilot should have dealt with all the heads of the global corporations. And if he had not done so, you and I would not have much to say now. We'd have been treated like dog shit.
Yes, sir.
But it is very walking through those halls that set precedents for your present day respect, even as a Rastafari.
Yes, sir.
You understand me? So one has to be able to separate the responsibilities of royal personage and governance, aside from personal feeling. Personally, I don't like a man, but if I, as a member of the Ethiopian World Federation, if I'm asked to do that, if I'm a member of the Ethiopian Crown Council, and if I'm asked to meet with that person, I'll go and sit and deliver that document and engage this person this particular way. From the perspective of the position of an office representing black upliftment, I must and will and readily and gladly do it, because it is not about me personally.
Yes.
I must be able to separate that. Yes. So the prince coming at the invitation of the Jamaican government. If we as Rasta royals is supposed to go there and make the thing glorified. If you had an issue with the government, you're supposed to do that. You're supposed to come and hear and look at the newspaper and see you agitating for those issues. You look like an opportunist when you just like an opportunist when you just go sit and wait till him come before you finally have a problem. Like you were looking for something to try and highlight. Just an article in a newspaper, you look for your name card.
We're trying to get Judgment Yard anytime today, because I talked to Sizzla Kalonji first night, and he's going to tell us exactly what's that concern. My main thing is King Shango, you're entering the homeland, and of course from last 2 weeks we see a rampage of capture land being taken place by the corporation, and we're concerned about this. You know, I don't know if such sentiment is being shared in Bahamas, but we see the corporation of Jamaica is taking off people who upon land 50 years, you know, and we see they're invading communities. Before His Excellency, if you want to shed any light on that, is any such thing? Is the Maroons over Bahamas being called capture land while there's so much crown land? What's happening in that? Because I do have Charlie I go and talk to. Cause him say the resort them get rights to come build up on the land, but the native them, I said them have to get title and all these things.
Yeah, so then here's why that happened. Until the people change their status, as long as you using that free capital, it means that you have consented to be governed and to any decisions they make on you. Right?
Yes.
It's as simple as that. If you're a creature of the state, you remain a creature of the state.
Yo.
And you do
Yo, remember bring it when they touch them thing, they remember bring in the dog, you know, cause remember bring in the lion, cause you was the same thing what we've been telling our people from how long say. As long as you're
right,
talk to me.
I can't be concerned with I can't concern it. The mother always do that until and that Jamaican people have nowhere going and no better. Caribbean people, the Bahamian people, the Trinidadian, the St. Lucian, they have no, because all are operating on constitutions presented by the British Crown. Now the constitutions all say order of Cayman or order of Jamaica or order of Bahamas. It's an order from the Crown, and we owe it to ourselves. We all have flat screen TVs and the fanciest things that the European have. And so we cannot pretend that we are not equipped with the mental capacity to understand the plight, understand the depths of our situation and our problem, and to understand the steps that we must take to correct it. Right.
King Shango.
What the elder saying, if I may.
Yes.
So here in the Bahamas, you know, the word maroon has never even been associated with our history. even ironically, when on the island of Northern Andros and Red Bays, we were rescuing Seminole Maroons from Florida and bringing them to the Bahamas. For some reason, as soon as they arrive in the Bahamas, they stop calling them Maroons, right? And so a part of my Seminole research has been revitalizing many of these Maroon and indigenous communities that were spread throughout the Bahamas.
Wow.
And you see, because we've been so lost in our history, we were taught that, you know, from someone look at you and they see you might have a little thing, you know, it was just like black mixed with European, or sorry, African mixed with European, you know, so that was always an issue as well. And only now, since we've really been researching it, scouring through our newspapers and seeing that they calling the people Maroons and seeing the way they lived and fought against colonization, fought against slavery, formed their own communities throughout the Bahamas. Only now are we beginning to even understand that, hey, we had, you know, people in the Bahamas, we had many people descended from Maroons too. We only now being able to identify some of these leaders. And some of the Maroon leaders were both of African and indigenous descent, even right here in the Bahamas. And this, of course, is separate and apart from the genocide that Columbus and Ponce de Leon, the Spanish conquistadors, committed in the Bahamas.
Yeah. No, but then here's what.
Yes, sir.
One of the biggest issues in our historical understanding is that everybody seems to forget that the Maroon struggle was started as a Spanish war.
Right. Right.
All of the Caribbean, all of these islands were originally all Spanish islands.
Yes.
All. So it was a Spanish issue. The word maroon is a derivative of the word cimarron.
Cimarron, right?
Meaning wild and untamed. So when I go down to Colombia, Peru, the people address themselves as cimarron, los cimarrón de la montaña, los cimarrón de Palenque. You understand? So the struggle is a Spanish one. And if it is a Spanish one, it would have meant that many of the Maroons, it's almost like they try to tell you that Kojo and Nani were brought from Ghana. When? On what ship? What plantation were they taken to? What was the source? No, Kojo and Nani would have been born on the island because they would have been the Maroon War. It was a Spanish war. 150 years with the Spanish and then 80 years with the British. So by the time the British came, it was that war was 150 years on. So all of these people would have been born on the island in the middle of born into that struggle. Yeah. There was no great amount of people that ran from any British plantation to be a part of any Maroon community. No. There was not.
Nope.
The Maroon communities were more or less fortified and set long before the British came here.
Yeah, long before. Well, we have a similar issue.
They just found that, but there was no slaves running away. First thing they the British told all their slaves that there was a set of people up in the bush that would nab them, and the slaves didn't want to even go away from the plantation.
Yo.
Yeah, hold on, all right.
Yes, I.
Go and to understand true history. Go and look before Bahamas was given its independence. 2 years before the British Crown came and they moved out every document out of the Bahamian colonial parliament.
Yeah.
So then, and the same thing happened in Jamaica, the same thing happened in St. Lucia. Now, if you want to understand the true history of these islands, one of the first real information you can get and sentiment understanding of the times is to go and look at, see what was being said in the Bahamian parliament by the white slave owners who were, and what was their true sentiments. You understand me? And what was their real issues? So you'll find that there was no real issue of any slave running away from the plantation and running away to Maroon communities. There was the real issue of obnoxious white thinking they just think it's just fucked up that we bought land and there's blacks up the hills with the land. Let's figure out a way to get them and take them land. We don't have some of these blacks because we don't want our blacks on this plantation to know about those blacks free and get the idea that them for free too.
Them can't own land. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think that is why they propagate the Black History scenario. The Black History Month, they're celebrating Black History in the UK right now. And in February, they celebrate it over here. And because it's a propaganda machine,
No, but the propaganda machine named Basic School.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
That is the propaganda machine. It named basic school and primary school and high school.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
There's nowhere in the Caribbean in any one of the school curriculum, whether primary, basic, high, basic, tertiary, none of them mentions the 700 years that the Africans ruled Europe. So nobody gets to understand, say, oh, the so-called Renaissance. The so-called Renaissance was just right at the time when they defeated the Africans. So there was no Renaissance. They couldn't have, the 700 years before the so-called Renaissance couldn't have been any Europeans' work because it was Africans was ruling. So it's when them defeat Africans, taking the Africans' knowledge and present it to you as Renaissance. But nobody understands that. That's not even mentioned. That is purposeful deception of your understanding.
Yes, sir.
And that's what caused the Europeans to hate the Africans so much, because they had just been conquered by them for 700 years.
No,
so they just wake up the next day. You know?
But then it's not even so what caused them to hate us. The hatred. I'm going to tell you what the true root of the hatred is. And when you understand it, the hatred is in the fact that they are mankind, a kind of man. They are sulfur-based. We are selenium-based. We are alpha celestial man. The truth of the matter is that the gene that makes you white is genetically recessive. If we live in love and unity for 500 years, after 700, by year 600, nobody exists called phenotypically white. You understand?
Right. Yep.
Secondly, they understand that being sulfur-based and being the fact of the matter is, those that call themselves European, they have the monkey blood. They sit at the top of science and tell you that you are research positive. No, they are research. Shave a monkey and look at a monkey's skin. It's exactly like theirs. I can show you a plethora of photos of white babies being born with tails, because every now and then the throwback of the monkey tail come forward. There's no picture of no black baby being born with no monkey tail. All right? No, these are issues we must confront fearlessly. Based on science.
Yes.
Now, that science dictates that I have a 9-strand DNA chain that is only used in 2-strand. They have a 2-strand DNA chain. It means that I can evolve. Had the moon not been placed around the earth and tilt the earth by 23 degrees to create the cold zones on which white people gestated, had that not happened, and had they not put and had Saturn's light not been dimmed, I would have already, at this point, all of us here in this conversation would have been at 6 or 9-strand DNA. We're designed to evolve from alpha celestial man to gods. By the time you reach 12-strand DNA, you're a living God. 24-strand DNA, you don't even dead anymore, and you don't get sick. By 6-strand, so imagine what you're doing now with 2-strand. If you had 3-strand, imagine how great it could be. And then imagine what you'd be doing with 6-strand. We can evolve as to gods. They cannot. They are stuck there, and that's their hatred. That's why they have created conditions to keep you stuck at the level that they cannot go, that where they are. They don't want you to be able to move past them.
Most of the history of Europe, is Ice Age, if I'm not mistaken. And the majority of their history, they're trapped in ice. So that envy and that jealousy definitely goes back almost to the beginning of our history. Yeah.
Here's the bullshit. Here's why now. Like again. Remember, when the earth used to spin perfectly on its axis, everywhere was tropical because everywhere we got equal sun. There was no place on the earth that white people could gestate.
Right.
The placement of the moon around the earth as a metallic body, as the Zulus in their cosmology will tell you that the moon was dragged across the sky by a set of reptilian people. They call them the Titahuri. That's the Zulu cosmology.
Yeah.
Many other melanated societies within their culture and their cosmology tell you that the moon was brought and placed around the earth, and it creates upheaval. Now, when the moon was placed around the earth, is what caused the earth to tilt by 23 degrees. It's that 23 degrees tilt. It's that 23 degrees tilt that created the two cold zones in the north and the south. If that tilt never happened, the earth would be totally tropical and white people couldn't gestate. So it is within that was the so-called ice age. Was it when the earth tilts and the region they start get cold, and that is why we moved out of them. And that's where white people could gestate. That's why them history starts with the ice age, because within the earth, they've never met them two part of the earth pole and couldn't manifest. So
Yeah, and then they apply their caveman philosophy and try to put that in their
There is a book
schools
named
and
The
try to apply
Iceman.
it
A
to
book named The
everybody.
Iceman Comet. You must read it. The Iceman Comet.
Boy, I have a copy. I have a copy, big brother.
I want
Yeah,
to.
man. Appreciate the knowledge.
Hold on, because not without reason. Sankufa Flamingo trip, and that I'm going to let Its Excellency get a copy of the itinerary. This is what we're talking about. You have several radio stations stop also book on this itinerary. We love the fact that you are heading over to Scott Saul, and I hope Nobleman Pink come out of hibernation. Me I be calling from the other day and him now response. Moortown, Charlestown is also on the itinerary, and of course, Black River and some of these things. When you go into this community, you will see the underdeveloped approach that the corporation has given our people. It's not that we don't have resources. Daniel Z. Basra, right. He will take you to streams that is flooding out 15,000 gallons of water every day sailing into the sea. We're saying that we can have our own water distilling plant, some of the differences that you will see among our people is minute, but it's very important. One of the main things that I hear His Excellency Daniel Z. Basra lamentate on a lot of times is that the subjugation of the documents of the corporation is what is holding our people, even within this land that they're taking from our.
It's not the documents. It's not the documents.
Talk to
the documents. The documents all have your signature. It is your contractual obligation with them that is holding you. They're not contract going on with them and agree something.
So you have said on several occasions that we need to document ourselves. We need to come from under the. How do we use? You've explained it many a time, but for King Shango, I want you to explain to King Shango how do we come exactly from underneath the corporation subjugation rules.
All right. The first thing you have to identify that it is not you, and stand in your place as a true and living man and say, no, I recognize the game now. You can't play it with me no more. That means you file your claim of right and show to listen. I claim my right because you did deceive me. In this contract, I didn't know. My mother was not made aware that he was going to use a full capital's name, that he was going to monetize me, my estate. And I just listen. You file a claim of right and say, I'm taking back all my rights and I'm waiving none. And I put that on record in one of them court office. But that is supposed to be backed by an indigenous body. That is being part of that global liberation process for us as a people.
You said that have to be backed by an indigenous body. No, I saw your last.
That is supposed.
Yeah, I saw your.
Supposed to be backed.
I saw your last podcast the other day, and it was very adamant that you are standing that without collectivity, we will not move forward. King Shango is coming all the way from Bahamas, the Corporation of Bahamas, and he is slated to meet with Richard Curry. You do not share some of the sentiments that Richard Curry shares for the office that he is running. What would is there a link, or how can we is there a fixture to that, or it's two different directions that is happening and it can't well?
Right. Well, I'm just standing on the knowledge that I know,
Yes, sir.
Yes. I know as a fact. If King Shango ask him, I'm going to give him knowledge. Yes. And then if he can go have a conversation, he must meet with Mr. Curry as the titular head. And see you and see if you get a correspondingly enlightening and decisive and purposeful conversation or a vision or clarity.
Mm-hmm.
And then he should know which way to go, because his thing cannot depend on Richard Curry. What would have been good is if there was a Maroon administration that is ready to stand up and use its autonomy and its geographical point of reference as the basis of everyone else who desires liberation as the liberation point.
Yes. Yes.
The compound community is supposed to organize the Indigenous Development Council, which is representing all Indigenous people, and put every Indigenous people in the Caribbean planet. And whoever wants to come and step away from being a part of the corporation can become part of the Indigenous nation.
I've been standing on that principle from day one. King Shango, what do you know about the direct office of Richard Curry? Is it do you have a made direct connection with him, but you've seen him as a representative for a compound town in the capacity of chief? Have you been following his work as to what his mind frame is about? He has just I think in my eyes belittle the indigenous rights of the Maroon by trying to go into the Corporation Court of Jamaica. I think that our status as far as us dealing with the crown cannot be mixed with the Corporation of Jamaica. But what do you know about that office of Richard Curry, King Shango?
Well, to be honest, I don't know much. I am an outsider, technically speaking. I've been to Jamaica several times, but never on a mission such as this. So, I don't know much. I only could draw. So one second. I only could draw my opinion, from my outside observation. However, what I have observed online with all of these different communities is similar problems, And in my role as Nana Safahini John Kwao, one of my most important roles is to connect the diaspora.
Yes.
And all of those places on the itinerary, inclusive of Akampong, they are all a part of this inextricable history that we all share. In the further part that I go, I see the closer that we all are together. So I'm not coming to try save no one or anything like that, of course. But I just come in to have these conversations so that we can all unify and try to find all of these solutions. And I think that we could all agree. As leaders within our respective spaces, that even a great king, even with his sworn enemy, we have to come to a place where he could sit down at that round table to come to these solutions.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, when all is said and done, we are all on the same side of this battle.
Yes.
And so I just wanted to come there and touch as many Maroon communities as I possibly can. Meeting with the elders, meeting with the, those who have political authority, meeting with people who have access to resources, as I do here over there in the Hanta region in Ghana. And the main thing of this first trip is the acknowledgement of this historical connection that we all share, of this shared interest, desire, and need for autonomy there. And so like I said, I'm not too familiar with Richard Curry himself. I've never met him or spoken to him. I only could go from outside observation. However, to make it clear, I am also one who is seeking total autonomy for indigenous groups, for Maroons, and that's the only way that it could go. And it cannot be associated with these nations that are still members of the Commonwealth, that are still pretty much, as I mentioned before, see freedom and see independence as acceptance into Western society, because that's not what it is. And I'm not suggesting that that's what Richard Curry is about.
Yes.
But
hold on. Excellency, when you finish, Daniel want to make a point, because you're touching some very powerful.
I'm just encouraging him to say yes, man. Independent republics,
Yes.
Right, exactly, right. And so that is where I am, and people who know me closely, regardless of my own family affiliations and stuff like that, I'm not going to bend on that at all.
No.
We all need, all of us who suffer from colonization, risk of enslavement and stuff, the whole nine. We don't need to get into it. We all need to be seeking true autonomy and holding these people accountable for everything that's been happening. That is my stance on that.
Hold on, a while ago you said something, because a lot of people are listening to you and they wouldn't even know that you are the Moses that was brought up in the house of Pharaoh. A lot of people don't understand, but being from a prominent part of the political arena where you have seen the good, the bad, and the indifference, and you taking these stands now. How is that embrace going? Because I know that the family stand on political principles, but you are standing on your indigenous rights, and I think is there a conflict or is there a gelling? Talk to me.
At times there is a conflict, even with me personally. I used to struggle, especially as I was coming into more consciousness about who I am, with the fact that, I come from this household and all of my people, are not there, but my father himself actually came from very humble beginnings. He himself would have been equivalent to what would be called a sharecropper in the first 7 or 8 years of his life. And we all know how that goes. And I struggle personally with that. And only as I become more mature and I learn more, and there's a few things I would say to that, what we don't seem to realize sometimes is that we need warriors in every arena, right? And though in the political, let's say, corporate arena, we do have many allies, but it's very hard to seek them out because of how the system operates, and just by the very position that someone would hold, we know what that position represents, and we know who they're backed up by, and we know who they swear to. However, there are many allies, and I just try to, and I am a son of Shango, and Shango is the god of justice and truth.
Yes, sir.
And it don't matter who my family is, I can still see justice and truth.
Yes,
and as a matter of fact, there was my grandfather and my father actually who has guided me in this direction, particularly in my interests in history and just Black activism or African activism, indigenous activism on the whole. And my mother, as a matter of fact, my matrilineal lineage takes me all the way to Venezuela and the Orinoco River, people known as the Wararoo, as well as the Kalinago people, often known as the Caribs, from Trinidad. You understand? So this in our blood, and my family does acknowledge it. Also, at the same time, the way the people fight battles are very different. And this is why when I personally look at the past, I am, of course, we know who sellouts are, we know who is who, but I am also very reluctant to place certain labels on people because, people have to fight this battle in every arena. And we have, and exactly, and we sometimes
we've been through a lot.
Thank you very much of what we've been through, that we don't need to get into the levels of brutality and things, how people's spirit have been broken. But I had a conversation with an elder who was actually originally from Guyana, but I'm not going to call his name, but he's a professor at a university, and I was surprised it came from him, and I was struggling, and he himself is a revolutionary, and I was, expressing these sentiments with him, and he was like, listen, what you don't realize. So, for example, he actually brought up the Haitian Revolution. He's like Toussaint Louverture and Jean-Jacques Dessalines both came from a more privileged background, And he said, simply put, when you look at many of our most successful victories against colonization, against enslavement, against encroachment on our land, sometimes leaders do. So even in the Bahamas, one of our more prominent slave revolts or uprisings happened in the island called Kid Island, and that guy was the driver. And when that happened, it kind of showed you how this guy was pretty much play acting and pretending to be cooperative with the slave master, just waiting for that opportunity to strike out. And when you have Nat Turner, again, though Nat Turner was a preacher, that truth in his heart came out. And he led one of the most famous revolts, and he also came from that class. And I'm not trying to say that I am some savior or anything to people. However, you often find, but you often find that many of our strongest revolutionaries, even people like Stokely Carmichael, known as Kwame Ture, even Malcolm X himself, Malcolm X went to a much better school than most of the people in almost all white school at the time, which of course they only coddled their resources on that side, So for me, it was always a battle, and I still something I struggle with, to be honest. But again, I just removed myself from that political arena, totally, which I'm not a part of, and I just work on behalf of the people, immersing myself in my work and the initiatives that I see will at least take a step in the right direction. So, and even within these corporations, of course, there's nuance. You have someone like Ralph there at St. Vincent, who would represent, one of the worst examples of a leader in the Caribbean. And then you have somebody like, say, Mia Motley.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Who, though I may have some issues with her, she's at least taking steps in the right direction. You understand what I'm saying? And we lose sight of what we be going through, and we're going through a lot. And oftentimes with leaders, is when you make a certain decision, you essentially decided to die. So when you really take it to a certain level, that your life is at risk. And that was been true for us today, and it was true 500 years ago, and it's been true since we've been in the same colonial space with the colonizer.
I just want to say, we're coming to this. I have to go over to Sister Kalanchi. Excellency, 10 days is on the books, and he wants to see all the glitz and glamour, but I want you to take him to the kinder tree and, carry him to some of those grounds that our ancestors hold dear to our heart. Bahamas, the corporation of our Maroon brothers over the corporation of Bahamas, they themselves is under a lot of pressure from the crown, because the crown also have their hands on this part of the Atlantis, especially the Bahamas. I'm not liking what I'm hearing when it comes on to our indigenous people over there getting their rightful acknowledgement. So I am so happy that this morning Excellency Daniel Z. Basra and King Shango has made that link, and in the near future I hope I can have both of you in the place called Jamaica on the said line, and we can have a coconut, a bus, and all these things. Right, Excellency?
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Definitely.
Yes,
definitely.
I will exchange the numbers. And I think, is Raskapa still on board? I've been trying to get Raskapa for morning. I talked to him the other day, and him tell me, say, "Man, make preparation to reach also."
Yeah. Ross Copper should definitely be there. I let him tell him, but the plan is for Ross Copper to come, as well as our co-founder and fellow revolutionary and cultural catalyst Robin Lightborn.
Yes,
and his specialty is social programs and things of the like. He's been implementing a lot of them both in the Bahamas and in the Hunter region, as well as Queen Mother Angelique may be able to come, because
she's back. Is she back from Ghana? Is she back?
No, well, I was just going to say, Dr. Michael Pateman and Queen Mother Angelique, they are both in Ghana right now, and we're actually establishing a trade office over there under the auspices of the incoming ambassador Andrew Wilson.
Yes,
so. And me, I'll speak candidly, though I may be, as you like to graciously refer to me as Moses raised in the house of Pharaoh, I can use that house of Pharaoh as best as I could towards our liberation.
Yes,
you understand?
Yes,
so, anything towards that, any step in that right direction. And as we continue to do that, my goal is also just education, and as people become aware, all these fellas we get, all these young fellas, all these young so-called bad man we get, that's supposed to be our standing army. But because we are so disjointed and so lost, they just warriors without a cause. And what happening? We killing up each other and making songs about it, and the white people buying up all the albums and celebrating the death of indigenous people now. You understand? So these are things that I can't stand for, and I sure the elder Basha can't stand for, and I sure you, big brother, you can't stand for either. And this is what unifies us, and that's why I'm very excited to come to Jamaica. I'll of course keep you posted, keep the people posted.
Yes, sir.
We will definitely do a short little promotion blast before we come to Jamaica as well. And I look forward to meeting Elder Basha in person.
Yeah, man.
That right.
Yes, I.
That right. Send the itinerary to me.
I will.
And send the link, because I want to introduce him to some people and make him strength up. You understand?
Yeah, man. Yeah. He is, as I said before, you know, this is another diplomatic channel because I don't know if Shango had reached out to, because Delia at TVJ, I'm a classmate, and we need to take this over. I think we can't put this candle underneath the bed for burn no more. The house don't catch a fire right now. The biggest fire right now. Maroon is everywhere I go. This is the new word where people are hold on upon now. And the time you mention Indigenous, are Maroons, they must say. All the groups are Maroons. So I know that we are catching a fire. And it's just to put all of these coal together, make we have a decent bonfire. And when you go there, this is also going to confirm via the link, as His Excellency has just expressed to you, that we want to take a delegation over to Ghana. Because when we make this link now, we are seeing the 54 so-called different brothers and sisters in government as a corporation for us, the Maroon, can come and break ground not only in Jamaica, but also in Bahamas. Because when we want the continent to be responsible for the islands, because the islands and the continents are one. And I think what you're doing and what we're doing right now is creating history for the next generation. I give thanks to that, man.
Yeah, man. Respect. Man, it's love and respect, man.
Yes, sir. Excellency, I'll forward the details to you and let you make a personal link with him. And everything is good, man. That's all what's on your office desk this morning, because if I'm with it, we make a link, but the place tough, my lad. I be a snowfall last first night.
Alright.
Yeah, but I hope this delegation, I know you and the brothers and sisters are going to connect, as far as about 16 of them arriving, and they must stay at some nice place, and you're part of the entourage. So I'm happy.
Yeah, man, we cover it, man.
Yeah, man, I'm happy that you made that link. But I'll send in the details and we'll chat later. Honorable. That is the office of Daniel Z. Basra. And, we're just talking about what's been happening on the ground, what is going to happen. And that is the Flamingo family from Bahamas. They are indigenous, and they're heading over to the Corporation of Jamaica, aka Maroon Town, where they will be making some link. We need to show, especially the corporations, that we are fully committed to the liberation of our people, and we're not joking about that. I know, and Wendy, I wonder what Anu send me right now. I think Anu send me some things where we need to make a link. What's happening here? It's unavailable. I don't understand. It's unavailable. How come she not seeing my thing? This not sound good. I wonder if Kina, she may be busy. I'll link her forward back because she have her own thing going. Big up St. Lucia, all my St. Lucian people. Big up all of my links that is listening globally. I'm trying to get Sizzler Kalanchi camp, because we saw what happened yesterday, and we'd really like to hear what's going on from a prominent Rasta. I think Sizzler did a concert yesterday. We can find out more about it if his contact open up their lines. I should get a word from our sponsor in the meantime, between time, and see if all is well. It's taking us up to that time. Let me just big up Full Circle, one of our brother who out there holding it down big and serious. What go on the top line, and now we could see what's popping, and then we can take it to the next level.
CNG International Markets.
Yeah!
For all your Caribbean and African supplies. They cater to St. Vincent, Trinidad, and all over. CNG International Markets, located at 1820 West DuPont Road, Fort Wayne, Indiana. They have in stock salt mackerel, pigtail, yellow yam.
Yeah!
green bananas, yellowtail snappers, butterfish, Grace Brand, Maggie, Vitamalt, and D&G soft drinks. CNG International Market, located at 1820 West DuPont Road, Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Yeah!
260-489-8220 or 434-227-9780. And come and get your curry goat, oxtail, jerk chicken, Jamaican patty, bun and cheese, syrup, and all your favorites. Yes, it's all about the African and Jamaican store, C&G International. Check us out today.
Yeah!
Come to CNG International Markets.
Yeah!
For all your Caribbean and African supplies. They cater to St. Vincent, Trinidad, and all over. CNG International Markets, located at 1820 West DuPont Road, Fort Wayne, Indiana. They have in stock salt mackerel, pigtail, yellow yam,
Yeah!
green bananas, yellowtail snappers.
Yeah.
Butterfish,
Do you
Grace
believe?
Brand,
I believe I'm a
Maggie,
white man.
Don't you know that belief is a doubt?
How is belief a doubt?
Eh?
How is belief
Because
a doubt?
you cannot believe something and know it. If you
Wait, in my poor brain, wait.
Hang on.
I cannot believe it and know it.
No. And you can only believe in what you don't know.
I like that. You can only believe in what you don't know.
You don't know.
That's why you have to believe it.
Yes.
Ah.
Now, do you believe in your mother and father?
No, I know my mother and father.
Right. So, but you might believe in Jesus.
I might believe in Jesus.
Because you don't know Jesus.
I've never met him.
You can only believe in what you don't know.
True.
So know that belief is a doubt.
Believe.
Now, do you know that you are a white man? If you know that you are white, explain to me how you know this.
Okay. My mother is Portuguese and she's white. My father is Scottish with blonde and blue eyes.
And you reckon they are white?
I reckon.
All right. Listen to this conversation.
Go on, you tell.
If I get water,
yeah,
it's quite simple.
Yeah.
I get a black can, a white one, a blue one, and a yellow one. And I fill them with water and seal them.
Yeah, okay.
When you look, would you see the water?
You can't see the water at all.
What would you see?
Nothing, just the white or the black.
You would see the different colors.
The different colors.
And if you trust those eyes of yours,
yeah,
you're going to believe that they're different, aren't you?
I will believe it.
Until you go and fucking taste them.
Correct.
And what are you going to discover?
That it's all just water.
All one. Oneness in diversity, we call it.
Yeah.
Now you see all these human beings that you see.
Yeah.
Who believe that they're Japanese, Chinese, blacks, and whites.
Yeah.
They are the same. And if you go to any one of them, excuse me, sir, what color is your mind? You see, you hear what he said?
He doesn't know what color his mind is.
No, go and ask a Japanese, he don't know either.
No.
Because we are spirits living in different color physical bodies. We are not our bodies. When you look with the eyes, you are not seeing me, you are seeing the body. Just like I tell you, when you look at the tins, you won't see the water, will you?
No.
So, will you look at my body and say I'm a black man? That is a program. You was programmed from birth, to believe that you are blacks and whites. But you fuck all like that. You're just a spirit in a body full of the same stinking shit.
Thank you, my friend.
This is a public announcement. A tree without its roots shall die, and a nation without its identity can never prosper. The Nyankipong Sovereign Maroon Global Tribal Nation Territories, partners of the UN ILO Indigenous and Tribal People Convention Law, have your identification card. Get it now. Your nationality as a Maroon sovereign person give you the protection of the laws of the rights that you deserve. Application forms are available now. In the USA, contact Representative Russ Gadites at GADIETHZ Gadites@gmail.com or call them at 1260-209-8730. Contact the Jamaican head office at 1-876-605-7987 or 1-876-773-4594 Visit our website at nyankipong.maroonsovereignState.org. Call, sign up now. United we stand with the Nyankipong Maroon Sovereign State. This is powered by Freshradiovybz and the Nyankipong Sovereign State. Now the dream has become a reality.
Oh, na, 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 na. Oh, na, 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 na. People fall in love every day. Love has no color, no boundary. As people fall in love every day. Some might just a ride on a train, baby. We all know that love is real. How does it make you feel? What kind of emotion love reveals? If you're broken hearted, you will heal. Baby, now let me kiss you on your cheeks. Come a little closer to me, yeah. Honey, now you got me weak in the knees. Can't sleep. People fall in love every day. Love was no fullness from oh, na, 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 na. People fall in love every day.
This is coming from the one and only Ginger right now. This one is called Fall in Love.
People fall in love every day.
From the beautiful sounds of Ginger. That's one of our prominent artists here on Freshradiovybz.
We all know that love is real. How does it make you feel? What kind of emotion love reveals? If you're broken hearted, you will heal.
Thank you so much to everyone that's joining us right now.
Baby, now let me kiss you on your cheek.
Give you energy.
Come a little closer to me.
Come a little closer to me, baby.
Honey, now you got me weak in the knees.
Weak in the knees.
Can't sleep. People fall in love every day. Love has no color or boundary. As people fall in love every day. Some might just ride on a train, baby. What kind of emotion? It would feel like changing if I hold you tonight. All this feeling I feel, baby. The mood will just be right. When I'm looking at the stars and the moonlight, just make me wanna just, baby, yeah. These arms that belongs to me, ready to hold you anytime, baby, love. These arms that belongs to me, ready to keep you safe and warm. Journey you on. I'll never let you down. I'll forever be gone.
Commander, Master of Arms, how you doing? How you doing, Master of Arms? Everything all right? You still a celebrate Eras Day or what? You still a celebrate? Let me know. If you still
Eras Day?
Yeah, you know, still you know one of them proud Jamaicans where out there celebrating Heroes Day yesterday. I celebrated more.
Heroes Day, I think it was a different day. I don't know.
So you never put on your Jamaican colors yesterday and them thing that Master of Arms cut it out. Cut it out, Master of Arms. You must have
I think to say I did like me and them celebrate that. I know the October celebration in Jamaica apart from Emancipation Day.
Nah man, yesterday a Heroes Day yesterday. Them not have all then they give all heap of award and them something there. OBE and them sitting there that time when them give a whole heap of things, man. But
them not give Emperor nothing. They not give Emperor nothing.
Well, them done kidnap Nanny already and put on the $500. We can't make them kidnap no more Maroon. Them kidnap Marcus Garvey, put him against Thief in Bustamante. You know what I mean? Paul Bogle, as you hear this morning, if you don't listen, he was a deacon in our church, so he was a sellout. You know, and Sam Sharp again. My God, let me say we can talk to you about something different. How's the weekend? The strong end going? Because I didn't get to chime in, but nothing happened out of the ordinary. Everything all right?
The weekend?
Yes.
No, sir, nothing. No, man. I know so every day is just ordinary days. Except there's a few where you have those mountaintop experience or those down in the valley experience. Most days are ordinary days.
I want to bring you up to scratch because I think it's yesterday our news desk got a bulletin from, before I say it, people were talking to our Canadian, the corporation that is called Canada, the Maroons over there. We have a Maroon named Willie, and he is holding strong on his sovereignty and his indigenous tribal rights. But Willie, yesterday the desk was informed that over $6 trillion have been taken from the Russian economy by this embargo that is building up. And I think we're closer to nuclear war than ever. Are you getting that on your desk, or those top secrets don't reach your desk yet?
No man, I'm aware, and I heard about it, and even the other day I hear that your president has about $290 million worth of what you call the tablets them for if there's a nuclear war. I don't know what tablets is gonna save anybody or radiation pills.
Oh yeah. It's people. Yeah. I think that this is going to turn over into something serious now that Saudi Arabia has cut ties. You have to call it to them cut ties. Them cut production, but that's like cutting ties, right, Willie? Because when you cut ties and Joe Biden, I beg you say, we pump it up more. That means say you're not in a good relationship. And this embargo on Russia now, where all the executives who work in America, they have been told that if they have to choose either their American citizenship or their Russian payroll. What you think? You think that what you think is happening to America, Willie? You think that this is really looking good for them?
Absolutely not. But it's just a matter of time before you face your judgment when you do evil around the world. They have been doing a lot of evil around the world, and it's payback time now. And so Russia may be the one who will pay them back in time, because I was looking at something in the news the other day that says Russia can destroy the entire America in 30 minutes.
With what? With what? They have the thing? They have the thing over there?
The kind of weapon that Russia has can bring America to its knees. But it would also be suicidal, because I'm sure America has equally or even more devastating things to wipe Russia off the map. So we can only hope and pray that it doesn't reach that point that they will come to their senses. But based on prophecies of the Bible, Revelation, it says that
there come a time with such trouble such as never was, as mankind have never experienced, and if God never intervened, not even one person would live. So I am expecting it, and I've been preaching it, I've been saying it, but people are doubting. I think it will happen, unfortunately. You know, even if it's limited, there will be nuclear war. I just think so.
My God, nuclear war. I only hope that we don't have a nuclear meltdown. People, we're looking at all of this. You just said something a while ago, prophecy fulfilling, and the Corporation of Jamaica have just rolled out the NIBS ID. And you know that the NIBS ID is like the chip in your hand. What's your take on that, Willie? Because you had prophesied about this a long time ago. Kevin Smith died because he prophesied about it. But this morning we have to resurrect it. It's here now. NIBS is becoming something like a gift from the government, the Corporation of Jamaica. What's your take on that?
Well, again, as you know, being a Bible-based person, I believe that the Bible must be fulfilled, because the other day I see a lady sending around something and say we must sign to prevent them from going to the digital money and this and that. And I say, listen, if you want to play the fool and think that the word of God is not going to be fulfilled, then I'm sorry for you, because Jesus says, Yeshua says, heaven and earth will pass, but my word never will pass away. And God himself, the Father says, his word will not return to him void. So no amount of discussion, no amount of persuasion, no amount of trying to do anything that can stop the prophecy. The prophecy says that nobody will be able to do commerce except you accept things like the NIDS. Mm-hmm. And the NIDS is here, the digital money is here. So the most we can do, if you want to avoid those things, get back to the land. Get back to the land. Get back to the land. Start planting. Start growing your own chicken. Start growing your own tallow. Do your thing yourself. Your water, your this, your that. That's the only solution, you know. And that's if it doesn't go nuclear, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I don't think, you know, there's a lot of other stuff that is prophesied to happen that has to do with forced worship too. So that is also a part. So I don't think we're going to be wiped out off the map just like that yet. But
what about that 1,000 year of peace? You think that 1,000 year of peace passed already?
That is where it's leading, because after man is about to annihilate the entire human race of the planet, then Jehovah God will intervene, and he will create new heaven and a new earth where there's no more of these garbage that man, you know, he has allowed mankind to do his thing for and we are gonna end up to the point where we're almost self-destruct. So I think God Almighty is just saying, I give you the rain just like you leave a child, and you say, okay, go do what you want to do, and look if you can live without me, my son. Go try it and see. You're gonna run, come back to that. Well, God has allowed mankind to simply be on his own, doing his own thing, and he's gonna prove that we are gonna prove that we cannot live without the Creator. We need him in our life, even though we kick him out. So right now I'm saying to people, we as human beings are being allowed to see how destructive we are to each other, because these globalists are sending the world in one direction, and that is self-destruct. Look at what they're doing. How can you be playing with with Russia, who has over 6,000 sophisticated nuclear weapon that can wipe out the face of humanity, and you're gonna be playing with that? You're gonna toy with them? You're crazy. Jeez. You're absolutely you're a psychopath to be playing that kind of game with the human race.
In other words, you don't have no sense to be playing with fire. But of course, I believe that with all that's happening, they did this with Havana, Cuba, where they brought us to the brink of World War, so-called 3. Now we're seeing it's a money war, people. There is a lot of things that is being put in place. These big boys, they play collectively. Only we, the small people, are amazed at their collective nastiness that they are doing. And I believe that at the end of the day, both the Russian and the Americans, they have a game plan to fool us Maroon, and it's us Maroon to stay ahead of these elite families. Yes, the Rothschild and the Rockefellers, they are in charge of it. It's a money war, people, but then they throw a bit of religion in it because they have to give you these things so you live in fear and bow down to their every needs, which we as Maroon, we have tore up that book long time ago. We are going after this 1738 where we beat every Nick, Cook and Cranny, and we beat them properly. We're going to beat them again, Willie. We're lining up for that beating that is coming. And of course, you heard about Swellfinger Charles, who is suffering from arthritis. He has been summoned, I think it's the 26th, to come in front of the common law court. And we're hoping that he doesn't show so one of our people can arrest him, because we are going to get some arrests going. You don't believe that, Willie, that some of these big heads are going to get arrested?
You know, that's $1 million question, my brother.
Nuremberg was also $1 million question too. Hitler never thought that we would collectively get some of them and do these things.
I would be the most elated and the most happy and the most joyous to hear that such an event occur. And I would love to see us pull it off. And that would be, you know, like a dream come true. But the question is, can we really pull it off?
Well,
knowing
it's not.
That these,
continue.
One, knowing that these people, the corporation, have the government in their pocket, and the government has the army in their pocket. So if you can defeat that triumvirate, then I'm sure that of course we can pull it off. But we need to get good people who are in the army to do all that, to effect this. So yes, it's more than possible, my friend.
Yeah, but well, for a man who believes in the true and living God, I know you don't fall short of the glory. And let's cut in right here. There's a dragon have been flying around over Germany. They said for the last 2 weeks. People have sent me pictures via my WhatsApp, and I'm looking at it, people. There's also a strong picture coming from the space station showing this flying object entering our atmosphere. This is more than just us as people and planet Earth walking, you know. We have another thing that's going on. But Willie, I won't keep you too long today because I know you're quite busy, and I appreciate the time that every time we call your phone, you're always there for the people. Is there anything you want to echo before we go over to Judgment Yard to hear why the rest of them didn't go to His Majesty grandson meeting yesterday?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man.
Now, we see what is happening in our world.
Yes, sir.
And most of the minds are saying, buy silver, buy gold. I say to you, buy food. Because you see, if you have 10 tons of gold in your house and 10 tons of silver or whatever material thing you want to have, if starvation come, which is on the way,
yes,
you cannot eat the gold because they're not gold bars. So it's better to have some granola bars and some chocolate bars.
Oh, Lord.
Because the granola bars can save your life, but you can't eat the gold as precious as it is. So I'm saying to my people, they are paying the farmers not to farm. They're creating starvation. Their things are short. In Russia, there's in Europe, there's a lot of people are without energy. It's taking its toll already, and the winter is just starting. So I'm saying to the people, just be wise and make sure you have food and you have heat and you have survival tactics, because the time is at hand. Blessed.
Yes, thank you so much. That's Willie over there. And That's our Canadian link. I'm trying to get Kenny Gladstone because we have a developing story. Let me go over the headlines before I go any further. Our headlines is that 98 migrant rescue from boat off Florida and they had no food. Here they go. The Corporation of St. Vincent and the Grenadines national flag colors to light up the Empire State Building to mark independence. I want to get a Vincentian on the line because these kind of foolishness where this idiot boy Ralph do, people don't have St. Vincent are suffer and him have money to go put up thing for Empire State Building. Guyana's president launched 1,000-man program to address challenges facing man. Wow. New BVI Senior Cup, of course, he's a Caucasian to be announced. My God, I could have this man. My God, this I mean I try call Kenny, and him not answer him phone, people. I wish he would answer his phone. Prominent DJ got killed. It says Jamaican reggae artist he secure killed in motor vehicle accident. It goes ahead and say that Jamaican police investigate alleged assault on UK tourists. And what else do we got? We also have Guyana to establish single window to improve ease of doing business. Single window to improve ease of doing business. 7 arrested in Turks and Caicos Island police operation. U.S. Embassy launch Carry Secure 2.0 project in Trinidad and Tobago. Canada Prime Minister talks with CARICOM chairman on situation in Haiti. Shirley Ralph, Agent Sasco, SFP Jackson among Jamaicans honored at National Award Ceremony. Belize win gold in first gold challenge robotic competition. As you know, yesterday it was atrocious what took place. Another charade as far as they celebrating Heroes Day when they've made a mockery of the Heroes Day. You know what I mean? I just want to elaborate that we are trying to get the British Virgin Islands over there because this post that is being put up by the Corporation of the British Virgin Islands is concerning Grand Rising Etta.
Grand Rising.
Etta, it's all
You
like,
have me on live.
where are you, Etta? Because I want to talk to you about this new commissioner. And I hear that you is the one going cook food for the new commissioner coming down from the UK. Any
No,
truth?
that
You're not the one going cook for him?
No, I won't be here.
You left the
I won't
island.
be here.
You're leaving the island too?
Yes.
Why everybody running away living the BVI Etta? What? Cost of living high over there or what? What happened, you know? What happened? They are about the 4th person from the week start. When me I talk to, I tell me say them a leave the territory.
Yeah, a lot of people catching the flight, catching the plane.
Jesus.
A lot of people busing.
So you tell me say after Andrew with all of the drugs money, I'm not going out. But the name of 2 British Virgin Islands Senior Cup who have been chosen to serve as Assistant Commissioner and Deputy Commissioner of Police will be announced. So 2 British Virgin Islands Senior Cup, according to Police Commissioner Mark Collins, recruiter were scheduled to finalize the hearing process for 2 senior cups last week. According to local report, most senior posts in the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force have always been controversial in the British Virgin Islands territory, as there is a perception that expatriates alone from the UK are usually given preference. So now that the British ruling the island fully, now them can't give up that position, Etta.
I want none.
Eh?
I don't want any position.
No, but I'm saying that now that they have full control. Because the governor call all shots now. Hear that your boy so on they become a little lapdog. Now we won't even make any public appearance.
Well, see,
Etta, you sound like you've been threatening. You sound like you don't want to talk. We're going to leave you alone, Etta, because you sound like the victimization there all over island. I walk one.
I want to attack me now. Let me go do my thing and then come back. Then the attack should come in.
All right, Mama. This is not the BVI that I was living in. This sound like a dictator country full of nobody that don't even say. Mighty God. How is it? I know you suffered the loss of your son. When is the burial?
Yes, the 24th of October is the burial.
How is that going? Will he be flown back home, or is it a burial in the UK?
Burial in the UK.
So you're going up for the burial?
I'm going up for the burial. As you speak, I'm the travel agent officer. That's why I can't say much.
That's Luther you're talking to right now?
No, not Luther. I'm talking to Jefferson live.
Okay, I mean, but it's by Luther or which one? It's not by Luther.
And speak up. Say good morning to Mr.
Grand Rising. Is this which travel agent is this? Because me know most of the travel agent them, you know. Me travel a lot.
It's travel plan.
Oh, is Luther there? Is Luther there? Oh, travel plan and travel wise. I told it. Oh, travel plan always book me. This is where I think the Romney have their. This is the Romney branch. Yes. Heal up the Romney. Heal up the Queen them. The Romney Queen them for me. Cause them always look about me good when me down there. You know. Yeah, but.
Oh yeah, definitely we'll do that.
Yeah, man, and please take care of Etta. She's a dear friend of mine. Give her a reasonable thing. Etta, my condolence in your time of your loss. You know what I mean? Trust me, Mama.
Okay.
I love you. You know now. I'm coming to see you December. You know, I'm coming in the territory for December.
Okay,
yeah.
All right. I'll be here.
Yes.
One love.
Yeah, one love.
Okay.
Yeah, that is Etta right there. She's a travel plan making her reservation to go and, you know, deal with her son death. My condolences, as I said already. I really, really, really feel it for you, Etta. You know, I hope that you can make it through. All right, then let's just wrap this up. I want to say big up, you know what I mean, to all our brothers and sisters who are getting out there. I have a client over there in California called me last night for her Maroon ID. Remember to call me at 260-209-8730, and I will try my best to answer all of your questions as far as your indigenous rights goes. I was trying to get His Excellency Emperor L.A. Lewis. It is not happening today. But today is just one day. We'll do this all over again for you tomorrow. And, you know, just keep it real. As I said, I love you, my brothers. I love you, my sisters. Most importantly, the Almighty God that created heaven and earth love you even more. If you cannot be good, be careful. And remember, say, yo, one God, one aim, one destiny.
I know you're out there. I can feel you now. I know that you're afraid. You're afraid of us. You're afraid of change. I don't know the future. I didn't come here to tell you how this is going to end. I came here to tell you how it's going to begin. I'm going to hang up this phone, and then I'm going to show these people what you don't want them to see. I'm going to show them a world without you. A world without rules and controls, without borders or boundaries. A world where anything is possible. Where we go from there is a choice I leave to you.
It would be life-changing if I hold you tonight. All this feeling I feel, baby, the mood would just be right. When I'm looking at the stars and the moonlight, just make me wanna just, baby, oh, see something that belongs to me. Ready to hold you anytime, baby love. These arms that belongs to me, ready to keep you safe and warm. Journey you on, I'll never let you down. No, no, no. I'll forever be your milestone. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just to remind you I'll be around. I make you happy with another musical song. These songs that belongs to me, ready to hold you anytime, baby love. These songs that belongs to me, ready to keep you safe and warm. Journey you on. Come along, come along. Let me hold you tight and sing you a love song. Stay all night. You pretty much got nothing to lose. Hey, little mama, get right into the groove. Yeah. These arms that belongs to me, ready to